Hey guys, and welcome back to today's video. I decided to get a little instructional today. Your queen of instructions is here because I always know what I'm doing. And today I'm going to be doing some like tips, tricks, things on how to take self-portraits. Now, self-portraits is basically a very intense selfie. I mean, you can call a selfie a self-portrait in itself, but I'm talking like you're not holding your phone right here. So, you know, whether it's whatever, we'll get into it. But basically, taking a photo of yourself, or I even count like directing a photo of yourself, and you know, like just you need someone else to like click the button kind of deal. Like you pretty like, let's be real, you took that picture, but we're gonna kind of dive into that, and this might be kind of weird because I'm sure there's lots of people who never in their life thought to take a self-portrait, and I do kind of want to make a whole nother video about this, but I do kind of want to make another video about this and like maybe the possible like benefits or like why maybe you should consider it. Now we're fighting dogs, but just to like do a real quick recap, I personally think they're a lot of fun. I like looking at other people's self-portraits. I think it kind of pushes you to really get comfortable with yourself because I literally tell people, I still tell people I'm not a good in front of the camera person when it comes to like modeling or posing, and a lot of people would attest to that. But something with self-portraits, it really pushes you, especially if you're like by yourself. It allows you to do kind of like whatever you're feeling, and it's just a lot of fun. It's very like, it's literally just you, and whether you want it to be a technical experience, whether you want it to be maybe, who knows, an insightful experience, like it can mean something to you, it can just be like to improve a skill. I think it can be so useful, and it's like something that's a little more creative, and you know, it's just whatever you make it kind of thing, but I think it can be really beneficial to a lot of people in like different ways. But like I said, I want to make a whole video on that, so I'm not going to go too crazy on it, but let's just dive in. Okay, so the first thing that I would say about self-portraits is that it doesn't need to have your face. It literally does not if you don't want it to, if that's maybe a little too much, or just technically speaking, if you don't really have, you can't get the quite right setup for it. Think about, I mean, it can literally be like any part of you. So like you could be focusing on like your torso, you could be focusing on like maybe a movement in your arms, like you could be focusing on so many other things. Like don't think, and pretty much I think all of these points are going to boil down to like think outside the box a little bit, because it doesn't need to be as strict. I set the camera here, I take 5 steps back and take a picture of myself. Like get creative, like do some, like I don't know, like do you have a crazy like skill, I don't know where this is going, do you have a crazy skill where, or okay, does your, this is even more random than the last one, does your toenail polish like match or complement the pick color of the walls behind you? Do a fun picture where you lay on the floor and like stick your feet in the air and they're just kind of like little lit posed on the wall, and like that's a self-portrait in itself. I have to sneeze. Holy shit. Ew, that like morphed into a yawn. Okay, so basically just like, I know it's going to sound complicated, and it's probably easier to start with the face because the face is something that humans just naturally recognize and are drawn to because it's a face, it's another like inner, you know, it's a human being. So if it takes starting with your face to like make sense, I get that, but also I'm just like putting in there like, hey, if like you're uncomfortable with that, especially if you like want to post it somewhere and you're not quite comfortable just yet with it being your face, literally, yeah, just focus on like, say you're wearing a dress and you put on this really cool belt, like as like, you know, to cinch it. Literally just like take a cropped in picture of like maybe doing something with your hands and the belt's in it and you're like showcasing that. Like just like find little ways to start doing this that aren't like overwhelming or like too much. And again, the setup then can be kind of easier because you can kind of see what's happening if you don't really want to dive into all of that yet. Which I guess branching off of this, I would just say focus on things that you love. Like, so whether it's a part of yourself, whether it's something you own that you want to be interacting with, like if you have a piano and you really love playing the piano, if you can, like, it's cool to take some fun, like, artsy self-portraits. I mean, these don't have to be, if you don't want them to be, they do not have to be pictures to be like judged in a museum. Like, I think a lot of it really is just like for yourself and a fun experience, and it's like really can just be whatever you want it to be. So with that, just like focus on like the way your hands move over the keyboard, or like screw it, do something like creative and like kind of situate yourself like on the piano if you're comfortable with that, in like an interesting manner. Like just like kind of just say screw it to like what's logical and just try everything, because especially if you're by yourself, it's not like you have anyone stand by like waiting for you to figure something out. Just do like, just test, play around. And I think that's honestly the best part of self-portraits, is your ability to just play with whatever's happening. And it's just like, who cares? So if you don't like it, you can delete it, you can keep it, you can like use it as a learning moment to be like, that's a weird pose, next time I should maybe like shift a little bit, like whatever. It's a huge learning process that I think like it just gets better and it makes you more comfortable and all things. So also branching off of that, I'd say think about movement, like think about what you can capture. It doesn't just have to be like a still image, especially like think the piano, like picture like if you're taking a picture and you're like moving really fast, maybe you'll get like the blur of like your hands moving or something of the sort. Like think about things that you do that you can capture that are just like slight movements, huge movements. You can be doing hair flips, because those are always fun to photograph. You can be doing like anything, like just like feel like literally, I cannot get over it, like just test everything, because you have no idea like we most likely have no idea what's gonna look like on the other side once you're like done with it. So now I guess to really get to like the mostly likely setup of it, so if you do have a camera or you know someone who has a camera, I'm pretty sure anymore, I think even like my first digital camera had a self timer. So if you can borrow a camera, if you have a camera, it should have a self timer setting on it. It should be pretty easy to find. It should literally just look like a clock, or it should, because you have to set it from like single frame shot to like self timer to whatever. Like you just literally Google it. You can probably find that setting in seconds. It's really easy, and that way you can kind of just like, honestly, I've done it before where if I have like a big open space and I'm not quite sure where things are gonna go, I'll put tape to like the corner of where I hope to like be in, and then I just go right inside of that with the camera. So it's just like really easy painter's tape. Like if I'm sitting here and I want to be like this wide, I would like put a piece of tape like maybe like a couple inches out on this side, a couple inches up, a couple inches out, and that way I kind of have a rough frame. Obviously give yourself some space, because you don't want to like put the tape right here on the wall and then like zoom in and then like I'm cutting off like my hand, unless you want that, but like just be mindful. It's really easy to tape a frame or just some slight like to tape it out, shoot, look at it a couple times, go back, adjust. Like it's really easy to do that, but it does give you a slight like idea, so you're not totally guessing, because trust me, I've done that before where I'm not even pointing, like the camera's not even like on me, and it's really like what the heck. But the only thing that is kind of rough is some cameras, depending on the model or whatever, some have an autofocus feature, but like then it's kind of hard to capture movement, and some honestly just like the autofocus can be kind of weird on different cameras, so that is a slight issue that gets encountered when working with a camera and you don't have someone like there. My camera and a lot of like more current ones have like Bluetooth capability, so I can actually like hook mine up to my phone, and then it'll like sit on the edge of what I'm trying to do. I'll like let it sit on the edge of what I'm doing and like see that I'm in frame where I want to be, whether it means like I can readjust the focus on here, I can readjust lighting on here, like settings, or I can just physically move myself because I can see where I am. So basically it's really easy to figure out on here. I know that is not a like common thing to have access to something like that, but again, if you have a friend with a DSLR camera, literally like ask them can I borrow this for one evening? Like, I just want to try this. They can sit with you, teach you a couple settings that are easy. Be very gentle with that camera. It's probably their baby. Just be very gentle, very caring. Make sure whatever setup you have it on, it's very sturdy. You know, I mean, if they have a tripod, perfect, but whatever. You see what I mean. If you can get your hands on one, I'd suggest it to try it. In addition to that, you can literally set up a phone somewhere, and I know at least on the Apple Watch, I don't know if it's like a certain version, I would assume all of them have something close to this, but on the Apple Watch, I know I've seen people use it, that you can like set up your phone somewhere, and then I would assume you could see it on your Apple Watch, but if not, I know there's like a self timer on there that's either like 3 or 6 seconds or something, that it counts down and shoots, and you can have it shoot like a bunch at once. You can have it shoot like 1 or 2. You can have it literally shoot whatever you want, but that's something that like probably more people have than a DSLR camera. So if like that's also something, I mean, yeah, it's kind of difficult to set this up sometimes, but they do sell cheap phone tripods, or because I'm too stubborn to pay the like $10 for one, I have duct taped this thing to things. I have seriously like made some setups to get my phone to stand somewhere to take a picture or a video or something, and always like think about your frame. So like if it's very wide on a phone, please make sure to rotate it unless you're going for the effect of something this way. Portraits, I'll give it to you, most are probably going to be this way. I mean, it's portrait layout, it's a portrait of a person, but like if you're doing anything like maybe laying out or more horizontal, just turn your phone. It's not a common thought, and I understand why, because like the thought anymore with phones is just to like point and click. So and I completely understand it. Again, I'm not saying it's incorrect. I'm just saying maybe try this every now and then, because this was, I mean, this is how pictures were just like taken, you know, everyone did this. So I'd say just try it, and I don't mean to sound stupid or mean or anything, but it actually amazes me that people forget you can literally do this with your phone and take a picture. I take probably 70% of my pictures this way on my phone, but I mean, I also take pictures, so I understand people not taking pictures, and I don't mean this as an insult. I know people who are bad, not even bad, but just like forget that this is a thing, and I like see the opportunity for them to do that, and they're still like this, and so I just like grab their hand and slowly rotate it, and they like laugh because it's like they remember that's the thing, but they don't think about it, because again, if you don't take pictures, you're not going to think about it, and I don't blame you whatsoever. I'm just throwing it out there. But feel free to play with, like, you know, direction in general. Maybe you put something on, like, cool diagonal, and, like, the way you're coming in is, like, cutting through it. Or, you know, just, like, play around with it, like, who cares kind of thing. So basically your best friend's going to become a self-timer, and yeah, it's exhausting, but if you don't have access to anything, and on my old camera I had access to nothing else, I didn't have a fantastic phone. It was like okay, but it wasn't fantastic, so I really didn't want to use that. I used my camera, which like it was a good camera, but it didn't have any kind of like, the focus was always weird on it, and my only way of shooting it was to come to the camera, set the self-timer, and the self-timer would go for 10 seconds, and I would shoot like 3 to 5 frames at a shot, and I would do it, and I would literally like run to my what I was doing, which especially if you're laying down, like you're sweating, like I'm not gonna lie, I was sweating by the end of a lot of this, and you're just like, it's a lot of moving, but like let me tell you, it's really fun, but it's also really frustrating, but it's kind of a huge like learning curve, and it's something that like, at least me, I became like, I just wanted to keep doing it better and better, and like it's hard, like it's a lot to judge, and that's why I really suggest the tape frame, because when I had that camera I should have been doing that, not only for the camera but for yourself. There'd be points where I would do something, stand, lay, sit, not in frame. But like when I originally tested it, I was, but then I would move and it was not where I wanted to be, and I'd be like cutting off something, or you know, not in it correctly, or just like awkwardly like peeking in the bottom because I didn't move far enough up. Like that happened so frequently. It was really frustrating, and it took like hundreds of photos to get the ones I was thinking of, but it was also like, I mean, it was kind of something to laugh at. It was definitely a learning curve as I just tested more and more setups and lighting and all the things. I really like, if anything, I think when it's more difficult, it like pushes you to figure it out or to figure out new ways or something of the sort. So a lot, like all of my original self-portraits are on a camera that a lot of them are very blurry because the focus would be weird, but I liked it a lot. Or like, you know, it like forced me to be more experimental. Hey, that is not yours. It forced me to be more experimental than I'd ever intended on being, which I think was a really, really cool experience. And I think that's something that you could experience, I mean, just anytime, but really like if you're kind of put in a weird situation with equipment, which I completely understand. This is finally like a good setup that I have. And I mean, I've been taking self-portraits for like quite a few years now, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If there are any other like major tips that you have or like questions you have, please leave them down in the comments. Again, I really hope to release a video soon that's like why you should consider doing them, or like maybe the possible benefits. I just think it's a really cool like personal learning experience for like technical reasons if you want to try photography, or just even just like yourself, like, and it's fun because in a way, like, sure, some people see it as like self-obsessive, fine, whatever, but I think in a way it's like teaching you about yourself, and it's like you're getting comfortable and you're like trying things, and it's just like it's a good experience for yourself. They don't have to get posted anywhere. They can, they don't have to be. I have taken many self-portraits that do not get posted, but it's just like a cool experience. It was a cool idea I had in the moment, and I just went for it, and you know, whatever. Almost all my self-portraits happen at like 11 o'clock at night. Between 11 o'clock at night and like 2 in the morning. Because it's when you like, it's, you know, it's like when you were in the shower and you like had an idea. That's like pretty much what all my self-portraits are. So that's why I actually have a wet hair for a lot of my self-portraits. Even though, like I said, so few have been posted, but I almost always have wet hair for my self-portraits because it's right after I shower, which is really funny. But yeah, I guess the last thing I'll leave you with is obviously just lighting. To make it easy, natural light, which I don't know why I'm acting like you can tell. Obviously, I'm using artificial light right now. But if you can, natural light is your best friend. One, because it's not going to overcomplicate anything. So if you can have the camera like right in front of the window, and you farther, like if this is window, put camera and then you, because then it's pointing in. If you have really cool like shutters or blinds, and they make like, you know, the cool shadowy effect around like 5 to 7 o'clock, use it, have fun with it. Sunset, perfect lighting time. And if you don't have that, then just think about kind of how you want to be lit if you can. Christmas lights are your best friend because they can be moved however you want, whether it's hanging them on the wall, or I've honestly like just had them in like groupings in my hands and held them right out of frame and like lit part of my face. Obviously, think about where the light is where it's gonna shine. So like this light up here is extremely high, so it's shooting like straight like out and kind of down, hence why you see this giant like light up here. But if you are, obviously anything shooting light from the bottom is gonna kind of undershoot you, and then you're gonna get like these interesting shadows on your face. It's not gonna look the most natural, but if that's what you're going for, it's like, obviously go for it. Or if you have like a bunch of lamps, whether they're standing or like little table lamps, honestly just like set them around to try and generally light the area. I always like to kind of point people in that direction first before trying anything too crazy, just because then you get an overall generally like well lit. And especially if you're shooting on a phone, your phone most likely will adjust to that if it's any like newer, better quality camera version. They're pretty good at adjusting to low light situations. So if you just try your best to like light a span, you should be able to get what you're looking for. But yeah, I think that's really it. again, if there's anything that you felt like I didn't quite specify or go further into that you want me to, please comment down below, whether I just answer your comment or maybe address it in a further video. I really I kind of want to do some more come along with me photography things, because I really love photography. Is that one thing that I get an idea and it's stuck in my head for days until I do it, and so I just really enjoy, that's something that I just get really creative with in my head, and I really enjoy the process of. So I really want to take you along with me. If there's anything you want to see, let me know. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.